Welcome to In the Arena. I'm your host, Mindy McAlindon. Joining me today in the arena is Dr. Robin Armstrong. He is a Texas native. He has his own practice of internal medicine in Texas. He is the National Committeeman from Texas, and he is also a county commissioner. I think you'll really enjoy what he has to say about Texas redistricting, as well as politics in Texas in general. So, Robin, welcome to In the Arena.
Well, thank you very much for having me on, Mindy. I'm honored to be on with you today.
Well, thank you. It is so great to see you. So let's start at the beginning. Just tell us real quickly about your background.
I am born in Texas. I grew up there, was born there in Lamarck, Texas City area. I actually was born in the hospital where I started my medical practice when I got out of medical school. I lived in that area, Galveston County, for a long time, not in Galveston, Texas, but on the mainland. I went to high school there, was on a state championship football team, and so I grew up in the area. I went away 4 years to college at Texas A&M University, and then came back and did the medical school at UTMB in Galveston. So I've been there for a long time. I'm now county commissioner there. I've been elected there. I'm running for re-election next year, and so it's just been a whirlwind. It's been a lot of fun. I've been involved politically at the local level and fought hard at the local level. Got involved back in the '80s, and I've been involved since then. So it's been fun. I've got 4 sons,
Yeah.
married to Martha Armstrong, 27 years. Almost forgot the most important part.
Yeah, I was going to
So
ask about it.
yeah, I was married to Martha for 27 years. She's also a physician. We actually met in medical school. We were actually gross anatomy partners, and got we fell in love over a dead body. I like to tell people so.
Not many people can tell that story.
Right.
I love
Yeah,
it.
it
And you have,
usually requires some explanation, but I
yeah,
always
no
explain it.
kidding.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, you and I met because you are the National Committeeman from Texas. How long have you been Committeeman?
I've been National Committeeman for 12 years. I was elected in 2012, and so 13 years now, I guess. And so it's been fun. I was elected in Texas. Texas has a very rigorous election process, and so I have been vice chairman of the state party there for a few years, and I'd also been on the executive committee, and I'd been a precinct chair as I started off. I actually started my political involvement in medical school after Bill Clinton was elected. It kind of stressed me out, and so I got involved at that time as a precinct chair and just stayed involved.
That's great. So you're coming up for re-election. You mentioned you are a commissioner in Galveston County. Is that
Mhm.
correct?
That
Okay,
is
so let's
correct.
talk about how long have you been a commissioner, and then let's talk a little bit about what's your platform. You're running for re-election. Tell me a little bit about it.
So I was elected county commissioner in Galveston County in 2022. And so I was elected without an opponent. So that's always nice. And so it was, and I ran, local politics is all about drainage in South Texas. It's all about property tax relief. And it's all about, keeping taxes low and just really serving the community, roads and bridges, that's what county commissioners do. And so it's been a fantastic job. I actually love it. We're very close to the people. We could have a direct impact on people. People call me with all sorts of issues, and so we really get to kind of shape the vision for the community. We have a lot of oil and gas. We have a lot of refineries in our county. We also have a lot of space technology and technology venues in our county as well. And we have a big medical center in our county also. So we have a lot of very large entities in our county that we work with and partner with to try to bring other businesses down. We have a very growing community as well. We're just south of Harris County, and so a lot of folks are growing. So we have a lot of growth in our community. We have to manage that growth and keep taxes low and keep the business environment, positive, so that people want to move down there. And so that's our platform is roads and bridges and drainage. I mean, that's our big deal in Galveston County.
Well, I will say the people of Galveston County are lucky to have you. From what I know of you, the time that we've spent together, you definitely have a heart for people and a heart for your community. I hear you talk about it, even when we're talking about other things, and just even the way that you conducted yourself during the COVID crisis and the the way that you just stepped up to help people. I think the people of Galveston County are very fortunate to have you. So thank you
Well,
for
thank you
serving.
very much. And I've practiced medicine there for the last 25 years as well, and so I did my residency there. And so we were really on the front lines of a lot of things in COVID. We treated a large number of patients with medications that were that the media was telling us were not safe, but actually were
Yeah.
working. And so we've been vindicated since that time. And so it's been good. So the community really, like I say, I was born in the hospital where we started our practice. Now we go to many, many different hospitals. We go to have 28 different providers on our staff now. So we've grown a lot.
That is fantastic. And I think it is just such a sweet story that you were still practicing in the hospital that you were born. We don't hear that. We're so, transient these days in America. It's really sweet to hear of a kind of a hometown guy that just stayed there and is back giving back to the community. I think it's a wonderful story.
Yes, it's really it's cool. It's really cool. My dad was on the school board there, and so I take care of a lot of family members in the hospital. I take care of friends that I grew up with in the
Yeah.
hospital, and so it's a really cool. It's I wouldn't have done it any other way. I mean, it's fantastic. I really like it and enjoy it.
That is great, and you do have an amazing family. And I won't sell out your children here on the podcast because they're young, but they are some pretty amazing kids who I think will do equally amazing things. So I think that says a
That's
lot
our
for how
prayer.
you
That
and
certainly
Martha.
is our prayer.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So let's jump into, because I think this is the most exciting topic and why I wanted you here today, is the Texas redistricting. This is obviously a hot topic. It's been hot in the news, but I think you have some real insights of the genesis of where all this started. And this didn't start last month or, at the beginning of this year. This started years ago. So can you talk me through that?
Sure, absolutely. I'll tell you, Galveston County was at the forefront of this whole redistricting fight, which is really interesting. It started back in 2021 when we rewrote, after a census, you rewrite the districts. And so in 2021, we actually redistricted our commissioners' precincts. And we had had an African American county commissioner here for about 25 years, and he was actually redistricted out of his seat. There was some political stuff that took place that caused that. He was redistricted out. He was actually an African American gentleman, and he had. So what happened was someone had, excuse me, someone had some connections in Galveston County, and so the Biden Justice Department actually sued Galveston County, trying to protect this one commissioner's precinct. And so what happened was over the many, many years, so this lawsuit had gone on for 3 years. The
Wait, let
great
me
folks,
interrupt you for a second.
sure,
That was the only county that the Biden administration sued over the census. Is that right?
absolutely. It was the only
Very
county
targeted. Okay.
that the Biden Justice Department sued, and it was odd that they made that decision, but
Hmm.
but they did. And in our county, what happens most of the time is smaller county. We're not a small county, but we're probably a medium-sized county in Texas for sure, 17th largest county in Texas. And so what happens oftentimes, we just don't have the money to defend that lawsuit. So folks will just settle, and they'll generally come into an agreement and give the Justice Department what they want. Well, we made the decision to not settle. We actually fought the lawsuit. And so we spent $4 million. We went through the federal district court. We actually lost at the district court level. We appealed to the federal Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which covers Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas. And so we actually fought, and we actually won at the federal Fifth Circuit. And so the basis upon which we won that case was overturned a 40-year precedent in Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And so they didn't know that was going to happen until it actually happened, which was really interesting. So the irony is that it's the incompetence of the Biden Justice Department is the reason we're having this redistricting talk. So what happened was what they did was our basis was that precinct in Galveston County was a coalition drawn precinct. And what that means is that there's not enough Hispanic Americans in that precinct to have a Hispanic majority. There's not enough African Americans in that one precinct to have an African American majority. So it's a combination of both. And so it took African Americans plus Hispanic Americans to make a 50% minority district. Well, Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act for the last 40 years has said that coalition districts are legal and that you should draw those whenever you have the opportunity to. And so that's what that district was. Well, the Federal Fifth Circuit, in an en banc hearing amongst all the justices, they reversed that decision and said that coalition districts are actually unconstitutional.
Wow.
So this is the basis upon which all this redistricting is taking place. And so we've known for a while that we knew this back in August of 2024 when we won that federal Fifth Circuit appeal, that decision. We knew that immediately there were coalition districts all over the country that are drawn
Yeah.
that could be redrawn and should be redrawn. So we knew that there were five in the state of Texas, five congressional districts that were coalition drawn. And we knew that, hey, those districts can be redrawn immediately because they're currently unconstitutional. There's actually 22 House districts as well, state House districts, and there's a ton of precincts. And so what's happened in Texas, in Tarrant County, Texas, which is one of the larger counties in Texas, they redistricted their precincts and now have a Republican majority in Fort Worth, Tarrant County, Texas.
Fascinating.
And Fort Bend County is doing the same thing right now. I'm saying counties all over the country can do this as well, and congressional districts can do this also. And so that's the big battle that's taking place now, is that we're redrawing our congressional districts because they are not constitutional any longer. And so this whole redistricting fight is all about correcting a mistake that had been taking place, something that is unconstitutional. When the districts are unconstitutional, you have to redraw them. And so I would say every state should be looking at where these coalition districts lie, and they should be redrawing them because they're not coalition. And of course, every coalition district is a Democrat district, and that's the whole purpose of it. And so the decision they came up with at the Federal Fifth Circuit, they said you cannot racially gerrymander these districts, which is what has been happening over the last 40 years. The Democrats have been racially gerrymandering these districts. They have been taking these coalition districts, which are now unconstitutional, and they've been forcing Republican legislatures to draw Democrat districts. That no longer exists. And so I believe that we should stop doing it, obviously, and we should start politically gerrymandering, which is legal, and start doing that. And so we look at political performance as the basis upon which we should be drawing these lines, and that's what our Texas legislature is doing right now.
So it is, and I just want to reiterate. I mean, this little county, it's not little, but little county, overturned 40 years of precedent because the Fifth Circuit Court said this is unconstitutional. But it was really a David and Goliath. It was this small county, which you said should settle, that went up against the DOJ to say we're not gonna do this anymore. That's pretty amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll tell you, it took a lot of courage to do that because obviously it took our taxpayers as well. We spent $4 million on this lawsuit. And
Unbelievable.
so
Yeah.
that's a lot of money that was spent. And so, but it's having national implications now. I mean, this can certainly
Yes.
have an impact on whether we keep the United States House of Representatives in 2026 and whether President Trump is able to continue along with a MAGA agenda, or if he's going to be impeached every 2 weeks. And so it's a really, really big deal. We're very, very happy that this is the result. We think that it's something that's going to really change the country. So now we have Missouri looking at redistricting some seats. We've got Ohio looking at redistricting some seats. So this can happen all over the United States. Florida has some coalition districts as well. They can redistrict. Now, they're not under the Fifth Circuit jurisdiction. They're under the 11th Circuit, but they have a case very similar that's working its way through the system. And so currently, the Supreme Court's going to have to take up this case eventually because there's split jurisdiction right now. You've got some federal circuits that are under one ruling and other federal circuits that are under another ruling. They're going to have to reconcile these rulings, and I believe that they're going to go our way. And so the entire country is going to be, going to have coalition districts ruled unconstitutional, and we're going to be able to start, gerrymandering like the Democrats have been doing for the last 40 to 50 years.
And I just want to reiterate, too, this was not to stop anyone from being able to vote. This was not saying we don't want minorities, Hispanic, African American, to be able to be represented. This is saying let's just not have these weird snake-like districts that just intentionally create and block Republicans out of areas, right? This was saying let's have reasonable-looking districts. mean, I looked at your map. It's pretty,
Hmm.
kind of gridded, if you will. Is that
Right.
fair?
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, we should have districts that are fairly compact as you can, and then we
Hmm.
should have districts that just make sense, that 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 don't separate folks based on race, but so
Yes.
but separate or not separate folks. People should have something in common,
Yeah.
and what we've seen is that in this one commissioner's precinct in Galveston County, the whole reason for the need to redraw that district was because the population of that district was so much lower than the others. There was an imbalance. And so it was violating a constitutional principle of one person, one vote, because what was happening is his precinct had probably 40,000 people in it, while the other precincts were representing close to 100,000 people. And
Mm,
so you just can't have, so you had to redraw the precinct. And what that tells is that a lot of African Americans were moving out of that area and moving into other areas. And so you just can't separate people based on race anymore. It's more based on their job, their socioeconomic status. And so that's how these districts should be drawn, not based on race. If you draw them based on race, it just foments this division that we've seen that the Democrat Party is causing for the last 10, 15 years, certainly since Barack Obama was president. I mean, gosh, it seems like racial division and racial tensions have gotten much worse since that time. And I think you see that when you're racially gerrymandering these districts like they are. I believe that what should happen, and as an African American, I believe that many of these representatives have not properly represented their people very well, unfortunately. Now, that's not a decision that I can make. And I'm not saying that I should. Certainly, the voters of those districts should make those decisions. But I think that what's going to happen is you're going to see some of these districts are going to start rebounding. Some of these folks are going to see, wow, we can have representatives of other races, and we're going to be fine. We can talk about them. They can represent us. In fact, they have to represent us because we've elected
hmm
them. And so I think it's healthy for our nation to have this discussion. I think just political gerrymandering is actually okay. It's fine. The Democrats have done it. We should be able to do it as well. It's been very unfair to Republicans because we've not been doing it. We've been forced to draw Democrat districts. I think that this is going to add fairness to the process, and so both sides will be on an equal footing. And I think it's important to do that just because I think the way the Democrats win elections is they divide us, and so certainly they want to divide us based on race, and so they want to have these racially carved out districts where they guarantee a black representative or guarantee a Hispanic representative. Well, that should not exist because people are not voting that way anymore. Hispanic Americans, by and large, in Texas, are voting Republican now, and so I think that what we want is a map that accurately reflects the changes in voting patterns of people in a given state. Texas maps currently don't represent the voting patterns in the state of Texas, and hence we're redistricting.
And that makes sense. And if you think about being a representative, I mean, you represent a group of people. It makes sense to have them in a community together, right? That you're
Mhm.
breaking those lines along those things that they have in common, as opposed to
Absolutely.
these things of simply of skin color or whatever. So, anyways, so let's talk a little bit more about what's actually happening this moment. And the history I think is so important that people understand this isn't just some wild hair that Trump got. That this is actually
Right.
something that's been growing over years. So Texas wanted to redistrict. The Democrats didn't like it, so they fled the state, right?
That's correct.
And to
Yeah.
break quorum. So let's talk a little bit about that process just real quick, and then let's talk about where we are because big news happened yesterday.
So yeah. So what happened was, and they've done this once before, and so it's not
Hmm.
something that's new for us. I mean, it's something we're very experienced with them leaving the state. That's what Democrats do. They run away from a fight rather than stay in. And so they left the state to break quorum. They left the state about 2 weeks ago, and I guess it was 18 days ago they left. And they were successful. We couldn't do any business on the House floor. We do not have a 2/3 majority Republican in the state House, and so that's why they were able to leave and do that. But they came back on Monday, and they came back to a Democrat leftist heroes welcome, and so which really didn't matter much. But yesterday, the House actually passed out the maps, and that was going to be the difficult lift. Is having the House, and so I watched a lot of the debate yesterday, and of course the Democrats were, talking about the end of democracy and all this craziness. If gerrymandering were the end of democracy, then it would have ended, 40 years ago when the Democrats started this process. And so, but they were talking about that, and they were all, filing amendments and everything, trying to delay the process. But last evening, actually, the House did vote out the map that would provide 5 additional Republican seats for Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives. And so that moves on to the Senate today. And the Senate actually has a 2/3 majority of Republicans. And so they can vote things out very quickly. And so that should get done today. And then it's going to be ready for the governor to sign. And so I think it's going to be very exciting when that happens. But the House, we knew, was the heavy lift getting this through, because we don't have a 2/3 majority in the House. And so now we can start going back to working on, flood relief for victims, and
Yes, the
trying to
important
end
things. I mean, really
taxpayer-funded
important
lobbying.
things.
Absolutely, things
Yeah.
that we need to get to, and we should have done the last session. I mean, and would have been done had the Democrats not left. And so I think it's going to be amazing. I'm just happy to have played a part in it. Me and my son actually were very active in getting word to the White House that this should be done, getting word to the RNC, and getting word to the Speaker's office, and our state elected officials as well, in getting this done. So we're happy that they kind of have been enjoying the process, and we're getting it done now. So it's exciting.
Yeah, that is great. And thank you for your persistence, because it clearly has made a difference in huge ripple effects that I don't even know if you could foresee when you started this process.
Well, yeah, we did not. I mean, it just made sense to us that this is something that we should do. And I will tell you, I don't know that anyone really was on board with it, to be frank, initially, because there was a lot of things going on,
Yeah.
and so. But I think as time passed, I think everybody sort of saw the value in this. And we saw it right away because of the arguments that we were making just locally. We saw, oh gosh, this is an opportunity. And it was kind of funny, while we were joined in the lawsuit. I mean, I was obviously deposed in the lawsuit, and I was on the stand at the federal district court in Galveston, and then they mentioned my name a lot in the federal Fifth Circuit hearings. They were talking about me back and forth. It was funny. The lead judge on the federal Fifth Circuit said, are you saying that an African American, which I am, an African American cannot represent other African Americans if they're of a different party? Is that what you're saying? She asked the NAACP lawyer that, and she was kind
Oh
of
man.
stumped. It didn't say anything, And so she's saying, you're using, racial politics as a proxy for partisan politics, is what she told her. And she says, and
Mm,
you can't do that. I mean, are you saying that? How do you say that an African American man who's on commissioner's court cannot represent African American people? And so she really kind of exposed the foolishness of that argument, and it's great to be a part of that. It's a really historic decision. I mean, it's a historic decision
it
that
is.
really changes a lot in the way we run elections in this country, and I think it's extremely important. And so it's neat to be a part of it
Yeah.
personally. It didn't feel good going through it, for sure. I mean, we were accused of everything here at the local level, and I was, when we were deposed on the stand, they were asked lots of very uncomfortable questions, but I think it's been worth it now, and it's so important just for activists and for locally elected officials. I mean, when you decide to take a stand, you just never know. God may want to use you to
Yeah.
do something, a lot bigger than you are yourself, and so I think that's the lesson that I'm talking to a lot of activists about now, because really this was led mostly by certainly a county commissioner's court, but also by being on the RNC. It allowed me to have contacts. I had contacts in the White House, and contacts with Speaker Johnson's office, and contacts, with the head of the RNC, and had contacts with our governor and lieutenant governor, our speaker in Texas, that I was able to kind of push this forward, because I had all those connections. And so I think as an activist, you can certainly have an impact if you just stick with it and be nice to people and be cordial, but also be
Yeah.
firm. And I think it'll work. It works well.
Well, thank you. Again, thank you for your courage, for standing up, for just being so persistent over time. It has made a huge difference. These maps will go into effect in the 2026 election, or you have special elections?
Well, yeah. So we actually will have a special election in November of this year because
Okay.
Sheila Jackson Lee passed away, and then Sylvester Turner passed away in Congressional District 18. And so we actually will have a special election this November for one of those congressional
Okay.
seats. So it actually will go into effect immediately after we get them
Yeah.
passed, after the governor signs the bill.
Mhm.
It'll go into effect in probably in September. Yeah, so it's
That's
going to go into
amazing.
effect right away, and so it's going to be really helpful. I think it's just and it's fair, and I think it's the right thing to happen, despite the Democrats saying otherwise. It is the
Yeah.
right thing to do. We're at a time in our country where we really need to start working together across races. I think we're seeing that. I think, ironically, Trump is doing that. I mean, he got more African American vote than any president, Republican president in modern history, and Hispanic Americans. A lot of Hispanics flipped over to the Republican Party, and so I think it's going to be
Yeah.
important going forward that we work together. And I think what's going to happen is a lot of these folks, a lot of these minority groups are going to find that they have more in common with Republican values than they do with Democrat values. I think that's happening now.
I love that. Well, let's wrap this up. I don't want to keep you too long, but just real quick, tell me one thing that you hope to see over the next year. If you could just kind of forecast, if one thing is going to make it a successful year, what do you think that would be?
Oh wow, I think it's going to be. I think I would like to see um, conservatives work together. I'd like to see sort of
Mm.
a conservative and Christians and folks who are strong people of faith work together to move things
Mhm.
forward. I really see revival kind of breaking out in a lot of different places in our nation now. And so I would love to see the culture continue to embrace conservatism. I would like to see the culture embrace, you know, one man, one woman, married for life, faithful to one another. They have children. They raise their children faithfully according to their faith. I'd like to see that strong families be built. So, and that's going to require a cultural change. And so, I'd like to see a revival take place in that sphere as well, not just politically and not just Republican, but just I'd like to see the culture be more conservative. I think I see that now. Certainly, Trump is kind of leading that forward in a lot of ways, but I'd like to see that happen culturally as well. That's kind of a big hope that I would like to see.
Yeah, I I would like to see that too. I would love to see just renewal of the family and renewal
Mm,
of Christian faith. I think that would be an
absolutely.
amazing one year goal. Well, Dr. Armstrong, it has been such a delight to spend some more time with you. I mean, I always enjoy our conversations, but I really appreciate you coming and sharing just the genesis of what's going on in Texas redistricting because I don't think the media is doing it justice. So I appreciate you taking time to do that this morning.
Well, thank you so much, Minnie. It's been a pleasure to be on, and I would love to come on again. So thank you very much, and God bless Arkansas.
Thank you, and God bless Texas. Talk to you
Amen.
soon. Take care.
Bye bye.
Well, I hope you have enjoyed this time with Dr. Robin Armstrong. He is a internal medicine physician out of Galveston, Texas. He is an RNC member, represents Texas at the national level. He also is a county commissioner there. The man wears a lot of hats. And today we were able to kind of dive into a little bit about his Christian faith, about what drives him, but also the beginnings of this Texas redistricting. What happened? Why this started, and it all started in 2021 when the Biden DOJ decided to sue Galveston County, Texas, because they didn't like the way the maps were drawn. And Galveston County stood up, they fought back, they didn't fold, and that's where we have gotten to, where we have gotten rid of this racial divide in Texas of how we draw lines. And hopefully today we'll get it, it'll get through the Senate and the Texas governor will sign it into law and we will see what happens from there. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you next week in the arena.